afternoon, everybody. This is Rachel Matta coming to you live from KHTS Radio, and I am here today with Congressman Mike Garcia. How are you doing today, Congressman?
Hey, good morning, Rachel. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, and I'm glad to hear it. So, a few weeks back, we talked a little bit about the Ukraine Russia conflict, and just last week, Russia was said to have planned on partially pulling back their troops in an effort to de escalate tensions with Ukraine. Do you think we've seen Russia follow through, and what do you think is to come?
Yeah. Actually, clearly we have not. He's actually moved troops a little bit further into the provinces of Donetsk and Luhansk, which are sub-provinces of an area called Donbas, which is the eastern side of the Ukraine, and he's making these movements under the auspices of an idea that Russia is still effectively claiming stakes to these territories. So this is aggression. This is a dictator using the power of his nation, in this case Russia, to actually move the borders against the will of the people living there. And so, no, he has not honored the pullback. He's not been receptive to the pressures from international organizations like NATO, the UN, certainly not from the United States, not from reacting to our President Biden's threats. And it's clear that he's looking to move not only into these lower level provinces, but also potentially further west across the Ukraine. So this is something that is a bigger deal than I think most were hoping for. I think Putin is making it very clear that he believes that Russia has a right, sort of a manifest destiny, to reclaim not only these provinces, but also the Ukraine. And we obviously are seeing that unfold real time right now.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, this is Rachel Matta with KHTS Radio, and we are currently here live with Congressman Mike Garcia. Congressman, over the last few months, we've heard story after story about packages going missing and later found tossed into ravines or garbage bins. The House just recently passed the Postal Service Reform Act. Can you give us some insight about what this looks like and what we can expect?
Yeah, this is something that I've supported from early on. You know, our letter carriers, the folks who deliver our mail and packages, have been working their tails off, frankly, during the pandemic, and they've been exposing themselves to risks that most industries haven't had to deal with, going door to door in some cases, walking our neighborhoods, and still getting us the mail on time. The U.S. Postal Service has been struggling. It's not an agency at the federal level that's doing well financially. But a lot of these letter carriers themselves are either veterans or folks who have been in our community serving us for, in some cases, 30, 40 years. So what this Reform Act does is it frees up some of the cash and reprograms the way they spend their money. And it also allows them to remove some of the obligations that they had on the books for retirements and to cross-deck those retirement pension plans to a different bucket of money. And it gives the post office a little more flexibility on how they spend their money and how they allocate it. It also requires them to deliver packages 6 days a week now to help expedite services. So we'll actually see, as residents, a little bit better quality in terms of delivery rates and more days of the week. So this is a good thing. I've been visiting with local postal branches in the Santa Clarita Valley. We have one of the largest post offices in the nation. It's a hub in Cat State, and it's amazing when you see this facility. There's some very high-end technology, but there's also some areas where they're operating with very low-end technology, and they deserve better than this. They deserve better vehicles, frankly, from a safety perspective. They deserve vehicles that are modern, that at least have air conditioning and cameras on them so they can see and detect things around them as they're moving around our neighborhoods. So these are the types of things and the types of pieces of legislation that actually free up cash and allow the post office to stay competitive with the Amazons of the world and with the other big box carriers like FedEx and UPS. And so this is something that we're excited about. I was a co-sponsor of this legislation, and like always, we hold the federal agencies accountable. I want to see better spending. I want to see better investments. And in this case, the letter carriers themselves are the benefactors of these investments that will make their quality of life better. and by definition allow us as folks who use the mail to see a better product and customer service as well. So it's a win-win.
Absolutely. And I read a little bit about this, and it looks like that taxpayers aren't going to be needing to pay any extra funds for this. Can you tell me a little bit about how that is going to work, how that's going to be funded for?
Yeah, exactly. So really, what this was a way to move the debt or the expenses of this from the buckets that normally would have been pulled from for the U.S. Postal Service into a larger general fund at the federal level, and it allows them to basically pool their retirement programs with other federal employees, and so that they don't have unique pension programs like they historically had, and then it allows them to effectively remove that debt from their books. And when you do this, it creates efficiencies, and it's a bit of an opportunity pickup within the existing budget of the U.S. Postal Service to pay for more overtime, more time on the streets, and hopefully more improvements like new vehicles for delivery. But this is something, obviously, as a fiscal conservative, I pay attention to. I want to make sure that when we sign any new piece of legislation in, that we have what's called a pay for, some way to offset and pay for the new elements, in this case, more days of service and hopefully better infrastructure for our postal workers.
Wow, interesting. If you're just joining us, this is Rachel Matta with KHTS Radio, and we are currently speaking with Congressman Mike Garcia. We are coming the end to our time here today, so is there anything you would like to add and tell us a little bit more about what you have in store for the next few weeks?
Yeah, and the next week I'll be in the district throughout the Santa Clarita as well as the Antelope Valley and Simi Valley. As always, if anyone needs help with federal agencies, whether it's IRS or the Social Security Office or the Veterans Affairs Department, please reach out. We're obviously in support of all of our constituents, and I've got an amazing team that helps folks. And what normally would take you several months can take us a few days in some cases. And so reach out to my official offices if you have any questions or need help. And as always, our office is open for any comments or questions that anyone has on policy-related items as well.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on here today. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in. This has been Rachel Matta reporting, and I hope you all have an excellent rest of your day.